All right. So, everyone, I'm going to show a demo of a layout tonight. This is the first time I've ever demoed a layout, so hopefully it goes well. I did a few things to kind of pre get things ready for me, but I will kind of go slow and go through step by step as we're going, so that if you are playing along, you can hopefully start building the page. And just while everybody's sort of getting ready, just want to share that I don't know, within the last 2 weeks, got in my head that I wanted to try to figure out how I could do a sketch. And somebody had suggested Canva, I think maybe on like the VIP crop or something. So I finally got my education account up and running, started playing around with some things, and have found some stuff and tips that work for me. So I've been making some sketches. So I did this sketch specifically for today's crop, and I'm super excited to be able to use it. So let's get started. So for the layout, you'll want to start with a base page. And for a lot of you that know me, I like things bold and bright and colorful. So it's not usually very plain in my world. Can everybody? Yeah, we can kind of see the whole thing, right? Okay, awesome. So I'm starting with this base page, and then the second thing you'll need is you'll want a strip of paper that's 3.5 inches by 12 that will end up going along the left-hand side of your layout. Obviously, this is just like a rough. If you like yours a little bit wider, make it 4. I just thought that this was kind of a nice offset. I did ink the edges of mine using my pine cone ink that needs to be retired, but you could also sand the edges or just leave them plain. When I'm doing paper to paper, I do like to use liquid glue. And I'm just going to place this piece of paper all the way along the left hand side. Now, for anyone wondering, I am using the a mishmash of things, but the base paper and this are from the new Feeling Lucky line from Simply Stated. It was just released today, and this pack was also the designs were created by Mr. Matt Mixed Media, who some of you may know from the Edmonton area or follow online. So he has been doing a few coordinating collections over the last couple months with Chantel at Simply Stated. So even though I'm not doing a St. Patrick's Day page, I kind of picked bits and pieces that had a more general feel. So the next thing that I wanted to show might not be a new to you thing, but not shown on the sketch is an optional piece that you could put along the edge of your paper here. And so I wanted to just talk about a couple techniques. You could use washi tape. You could use an extra strip of paper if you have any of those sticker borders. If you had a border punch, I think I suggested in the supplies to have like a 2 by 12 inch piece. And I just wanted it to be 2 inches in case you wanted to do a decorative edge with a punch. I find it a lot easier to punch a piece that's a lot wider, and then you can trim it down. And so what I did is I am actually using washi tape, and somewhere I had my washi that I left sitting out, but I don't see it in my mess. But what I did is I actually put my washi onto a strip of paper And sometimes I find that I like this better because it just gives a bit of stability. And then also your pieces of the washi can wrap around the back. And then when you adhere that on your page, it feels more secure. So I'm just going to trim this so I just have my piece of washi. I'm just going to go off camera to cut it because you don't need to watch me cut it. The other good thing about attaching it to paper is then if you wanted to raise it up, you could put it on foam dots and make it, have some extra dimension on your page. And it's much easier to do with the paper. But I'm just going to adhere it flat. So I've just adhered it flat along the left-hand side there. Okay. Um, sorry, I was just looking because I was hearing a little bit of something and I was trying to figure out if somebody wasn't muted. I don't see anybody. Anyway, okay. So once you've got that, if that's a piece you choose to put on, we're going to start dealing with a bit of our photos and other embellishments and layering. So on the sketch, I suggested a 4x6 photo, two 4x6 photos, but these could be like you could turn one of these into two 2x3s. It could be four 2x3s. You could do a large 5x7. Or mine, I used my selfie to make a collage. Oh, I know the light's a little bit glary there. So I ended up using a collage to print this on my selfie, and just the way the shape of the photos were, it wasn't quite a 4x6. So I ended up trimming it down, and then I made a second picture to match that size. So on the sketch instructions that you'll get for me, I suggest putting your 4x6 photos quite close to the edge. I think I said about a quarter inch to a half inch away from the edge, but I am likely going to have mine a little bit farther away from the left hand edge. And then before I set things down, I like to start layering down what kind of pieces that I'm going to use. So on the sketch, I suggested a few layering things like, a circle shape and a label and just different things. And it can be whatever you would like for your cluster to be with whatever is matching in your stash collection. So I actually ended up looking and found from um, Cogwood Grove, previous collection, which was very steampunky. I found this cool, bigger embellishment. And then the new 8.5 by 11 page packs from Simply Stated from last month. There was one called Pretty in Pink. So I used the tag from the Essentials and I pre attached it just for myself. So I'm just going to kind of set this underneath so that you guys can kind of see as I start to build before I layer on. Yeah, that's about where I was. So once I start layering some pieces and I'm happy with what I have, what I'll often do, I do this a lot, is I will like just rest my hand and just flip up the ephemera and just sort of set it back down in place, because I know we always get things how we want them, and then you go to take everything off and glue it down, and then you're mad because you can't get it where you want. Sometimes I take pictures too, but I just find that this works for me because a lot of times I'm building in the moment with what I just think looks good. And then you can go back and tuck in a bit of glue underneath the other side. And a lot of times as well, I will stick glue under parts of it, and then I end up pop dotting up like certain edges so it gives extra dimension. So I'll see if I end up doing that on this page or not, but stick a bit of glue under here.
That's a really good idea. And then the glue just gives you more time to hate to smoosh it around. I like that.
Yeah, that's what I like as well. And even if I don't end up adding pop dots, I never mind if the glue isn't all the way to the edge, because that in itself just ends up adding a bit of dimension naturally without even having to do anything magical, right?
Right.
So then I had toyed with a bunch of different things when I was kind of laying out this design and layout today. I will quite often pop up my photos, but I decided that I'm probably going to pop up a lot more of my little elements instead. So I'm going to attach my photos directly to the page. Now, with these ones, I did again print them on my selfie. I left the little white border, and then I added an extra photo mat. So that it just depends on your preference, your paper, and what you're trying to do, like to get everything to kind of pop off the page. These mats also were a chunk of paper from that Pretty in Pink paper pack. I like my smash ups, so I'm always picking bits and pieces from a whole bunch of different collections. So on the sketch, I kind of kept it quite true, where this piece is going to kind of pop on top of the photo, but I am going to have a little piece that's going to tuck here. So when I put glue down on this photo, I'm just going to make sure I don't put glue all the way to the edge up here, just so I can tuck it in. And this is where, if you did adhere your photos first, I suggest in the instructions not to put adhesive all the way to the right, so it allows you to tuck in. So it's just because I had done a bit of pre planning that I knew kind of how I wanted it to be on my page. But that's a good strategy that I use a lot, is not putting down the adhesive around the edges till after. So you don't end up having to use your tool as much. This is like the one that many of us have that we've probably used to unstick a lot of things in our scrapbooking life. Got to see if I got that straight. Straight enough. Not tall
Okay,
enough.
that tool, where did you get that from? Because that's something I don't have.
The tool,
Yeah.
this one is Creative Memories. Maybe Kirsten can answer if they still make them.
They still do.
Excellent.
Yeah,
And I think it's called like a multi-purpose tool or something. Like
it
it's a
is.
really
Yeah.
lame
It
name. Okay.
is.
Yeah.
But it's really thin. This is my second one because like my original one was so gummed up. But you can use it to kind of slide in under your edge when you need to unstick something. I don't really know what the other end is supposed to be for. I honestly never use it.
I've never used the other end either. It's also good for putting down larger stickers.
Mm-hmm.
Other end is good for rub-ons too.
Aha, yep. I think hold on, they're not expensive. They're pretty handy. Um, Kristen, are you a CM advisor?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, I didn't realize that, Kim.
It's on the DL. I don't
Well,
put a lot of work into it.
I think Kirsten's probably similar.
It's for me. I do it for myself, kind
Hey, seriously, Kim and Kirsten, you were meant to meet each other. I love it.
of.
ECM.
Don't be horning in on my lady.
Okay, Tiff. Fair. All right. So then I've got my photos down, and then I am going to add a little embellishment cluster up along the top. I, again, was just trying to get ahead, and now that I'm looking, I probably did put glue a little bit too far, but oh no, I'm good. So I'm going to just add a little bit of glue. Now, I honestly, like when I'm building my layouts, I just play around. Like I dump out all my pieces and I just start kind of laying things in and about and seeing what might look good. And
It's crazy that pretty in pink, if you think about the name of the two lines, how the pink just really works with that.
yeah, and because I was doing scrap and dippity, I wanted to do a play on like the green and pink that if any of you had been to her store before it closed, had like, and then the truck, of course, was green with like the pink flowers. So I wanted to kind of do a play on that, which I thought would be very fun. And then Selena loves like steampunk hats and all that kind of stuff. So I thought the gears and everything was very, very Selena.
It's looking good so far, my friend.
And so then in this corner, I'm going to add a little embellishment. And I'm going to raise this up, but I'm going to show a little trick that some people probably know, but sometimes we end up with those leftover bits of chipboard, especially if you build albums and then you trim off an edge. And for probably as long as I've been scrapbooking, sometimes when you want some dimension, but your foam dots are just too thick, what I will do is I just cut a chunk of the chipboard and then I add the chipboard to the back. So it just adds a little bit of dimension, and sometimes I'll even layer two. So it's sometimes a fun way to use up some of those extra chipboard bits that you have. And back in the day, we all like trimmed with the X-Acto knives. At least I did, and always had those big sheets underneath, and they get so ratty. But then instead of just throwing them out, it was a good way to make use of them. So I'm gonna look at those, and yep, I'm pretty happy with how that looks. And then I probably don't want to get glue on my photo. So I'm just going to add a bit of tape runner to the top part that might be sticking on my photo. And then a bit of the wet adhesive to make sure it's really stuck down on the bottom. Oop, that was a lot of glue pushed out. I guess the one thing about doing this live is I don't have any room to really overthink things. So that's good. Okay. So basically what I'm also doing is I'm building my visual triangles. So kind of offsetting this here, having this piece up here, and then I'm going to have my cluster here. So it kind of makes a nice little visual there. So then I have this little piece here that I'm going to end up adding on because I thought that seemed very steampunky. I feel like I got this piece a little crooked, but that's okay. I think I did. It's probably going to drive me crazy. Shoot. Well, that's going to drive me a little nuts. Or what the chances are I can lift this up a little bit. I guess you get to watch the sticky tool in action. That's what I get for sticking this one on ahead of time, right?
It's a perfect learning moment. Shows us all that everybody makes little things that they got to change up to and that there's a way to fix it.
Right. Now, this is why I usually do the photos and then the tucks, but that's okay. And I don't have to move it very much.
I need me one of those.
They are like a lifesaver. Okay, I'm just going to move this so I can see it right over top of me for a second so I don't.
If anyone in the Edmonton area wants one of the multi-purpose tools, um, I'm not too sure. I have to do an order on Monday anyway, and shipping's ridiculous if you just want one. So either myself or even Kristen, if you're doing an order, I'm not too sure where you live or whoever wants one from where you are. Yeah, I'm doing an order anyways on Monday, and I could just pick up if anyone wants. They're $8.50.
Who was that talking?
Sorry,
That was
Kimberly.
Kim.
I'm sorry?
The little multi-purpose tool that Lindsay was using, that lifter.
Yeah.
If there was anyone that wanted one, I'm doing an order on Monday anyhow, and I live in the city, and I'm gonna be paying for shipping for other things anyhow. It would be silly if you wanted one to go buy one and then have to pay the shipping. It's only $8.50 for the actual item, and then shipping can be silly. So anyways, if not trying to be all saleswoman, I'm not like that, but I'm doing an order Monday. So if anyone wanted one,
So you would just want us to like e-transfer you the money?
yeah, that would be fine. Yeah.
It's $8.50 plus tax?
Yeah.
Did you want to put your email in the chat and then
Sure.
Now, normally I am not
I thought I missed that part.
this crazy with my foam adhesive. People will know, but I want to get this stuck down, and I probably am. Like, I know I'm going to write on this. And so if I don't put an even layer underneath, then it's not going to be nice when I need to write on it. So I'm going a little adhesive crazy, but usually I'm like, oh my gosh, you do not need this many foam dots.
I like to add a piece of cardboard or something under when I'm going to do that instead of pop dots
Yeah.
sometimes.
I most often will do the writing ahead of time
Yeah, that
and then
too.
pop it
Better
on. But for the sake of today, it's getting stuck on. Aren't those just like adorable? Those little like, I don't know. I guess they're supposed to be leprechauns, but I think they're just super cute. All right. And then just a couple things
Was $8.50
to
plus shipping? I missed that.
$8.50, she thinks she said. Does that include tax?
$8.50 plus tax.
I know, but what are you talking about? I had to run upstairs for a second.
The
Oh, the
lifter,
tool.
Monica.
Oh, okay.
That tool.
Oh, okay. I got one of those.
all right. Then I did a little bit of pre-journaling for myself. So on the sketch, depending on the type of paper that you're using, I will often just write my journaling onto the layout. And originally, I was going to do that to show you guys a little tip with that. I'm still going to show you the tip, but once I ended up picking my papers today, I just knew the paper was too dark and I did not want to write directly on my paper. Even with a marker, I just thought I wouldn't be satisfied. But quite often, it's like one of the first times I've coughed today. Um, what I will do if I'm going to go directly on my page is I use my ruler and I'll draw like light lines, which many of you have probably done on there. And then sometimes for a neat effect, I'm just going to show on like a scrap piece of paper. So let's say I was doing my journaling lines. I kind of make them wonky. Like I don't worry if they're not all the same length. Right, so I'll do like that. And I'll take my time and make sure they're a little more evenly measured. And then what I will do is I will take like a thin marker and I'll go over the lines, but I free draw them and I don't like I almost make them a little wobbly on purpose. So if you do have a wobble, it doesn't matter. So I'll go along and I'll just kind of make little wobbly lines over my pencil marks. And again, not worrying that my lines are all the same length. And this will be directly on my layout. So you'll see these lines, but it kind of makes a really cool journaling spot. And then you can just erase your lines and then go and write. And so then you never have to worry if it's not exactly straight. It's like you've made them a little wibbly wobbly. So that's a great little tip for journaling.
I love that. Never thought of that before, but I love it.
So instead, today I typed it up because I actually had a lot to say. So for those of you who are familiar with the Calgary store, Scrapendipity, Selena did have to close the actual store location. She just got a new online store up and running and has been doing some make and takes and stuff out of her house. But Scrapendipity, as we know it, is no longer. And it kind of came a bit of a surprise. And Selena loves pop culture like many of us do that are online. So when I heard she was closing, I knew I couldn't just send like the standard message that you would send a friend, like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, or oh, whatever. So I actually sent a picture of Judd Nelson from the end of the Breakfast Club. Because we often talk about the Breakfast Club, me and Selena. And I created a little saying with the end from the movie, but I changed it. So I am going to just read it because I think it's kind of fun and I want to selfishly share. So I said, you see us as you want to see us, in the simplest terms, in the most convenient definitions. But what we found out is each one of us is a crafty brain and a scrappy athlete and an everything must line up basket case, a must have the whole collection princess, and a do the project our own way criminal. Sincerely yours, the Scrapendipity Club.
Oh my God, I love that. That is
So
fantastic, Lindsay.
I sent that
Fantastic.
to her in a message. So I thought that would be a fun thing to put on the page. And then I am going to put a little something here about the fact that the store closed or this was the last thing I did at the store. And then I'm not really sure what I want to do as my title. Like, I don't know if I want it to be something cheesy, like the end of an era, or if I'm going to come up with something Breakfast Clubby. I got to mull it over a little bit. but I am going to stick this journaling down right here using some foam dots as well.
That's really great, Linz.
It seemed a mix of very me, the kind of thing I would send, and then very
Very clever.
Selena.
Yeah, it's awesome. I really, really like that.
Yeah, it's a shame she had to close.
But there's a new version kind of brewing, and she's in the stage of asking, it might already be chosen, but she was asking for people to name essentially her house, because everybody would be saying like, I'm going to Selena's, or I'm going to, like, you couldn't just say I'm going to the store. So you know how like you'd have names of estates like Manderley from the book Rebecca, or Tara and Gone with the Wind. So she's put out a call to name the house. Okay, I got to make sure this is straight so I don't mess up. Okay, good. I guess I'm a little bit like Doreen that way. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's got to be straight. All right. So then what I would do is I would finish up my journaling, I would add my title, and then I would also go back because I love gems, and I would probably add some little enamel dots or sparkles just around the clusters. But I'll probably wait till I get my title on and everything in case I want to overlap around that. But that is the layout.
Very cool.
That's so nice. A gold title would look really pretty, Lindsay.
Yeah, I'm gonna look through my stash and see what letters I have and what I can come up with.
Or copper.
Yeah.
Ooh, yep.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Copper would
That'd
be
be
the jam,
nice.
I think.
So it's, I mean, a very basic design overall, but just depending on the papers, you could
Yeah.
use a much more plain base paper and then bring in some other patterns, and it would have a total different feel. And I mean, like all sketches, it can be turned, go this way. And as I said, change around your photos and you're good to go.
Oh, it's a great story. I was sad when she closed too. We were all sad, I guess.
Before I turn off the recording, are there any questions that people might have that others might want to hear?
Great demo.
Thank you.
Very nice.